So I'm out here by Rayleigh Field, coming to the barn for the picnic with Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and there's a lot of cars out here. So it's going to be interesting to see just how big the crowd is over at the barn.
Honestly, I might buy one of each.
Thank you for showing up, and thank you to the volunteers from Sacramento who helped make this thing possible. My name is Pat, and I'm the organizing director here in California with the privilege of helping Mayor Pete win the California primary on March 3rd. Quick show of hands, how many people here are registered to vote? A little trickier question, how many people here are not registered as a Democratic Party registrant? Quite a lot. So here's the thing. People who are not registered Democrats can vote for Mayor Pete. Which is a fantastic thing because there's a few million of them here in California. But they have to take an extra step. If you're a vote by mail voter, which most of us are, then in a few months, the county's going to send you a little postcard, and you've got to check off a box saying, send me a Democratic Party ballot, right? All right, thank you, and join us on the campaign trail. And I'm the mayor of the great city of West Sacramento. Welcome to our barn, to our home, and to our waterfront. And welcome to what may very well be the largest grassroots fundraiser of the entire Pete Buttigieg campaign anywhere in America today. Anybody here from Placer County? El Dorado, Folsom, the Foothills, Old Country, Stockton and the Delta and the San Joaquin Valley. I know there's folks here from Ukiah and Mendocino in the North Bay. Redding and Yuba and Sutter, Chico, Paradise. How about the rest of the Bay Area? Welcome. Please don't bid up our house prices, but welcome. Great city. How about Salado and Yolo? Quick fact, you're in Yolo County right now because you are in West Sacramento. Any West Sacramentans here? And then our big sister across the river. Who's here from Sacramento? All right. We are so excited because it is in the places like Dixon and Davis and Galt and Rancho Cordova and Yuba City and Marysville and Lodi and West Sacramento and South Bend, Indiana, where America's worst challenges are. It's on the streets, in our neighborhoods, it's in our fighting. There is no battle, there's no difference of perspective or experience in America that doesn't exist in each one of our towns. And yet, we know, from people who live in real places in America, how to get past it, how to rally people together, to not just find the worst in our cities and our neighborhoods, but find the power to unleash of the people of America in its towns and cities. And so thank you for being a part of today from all across this country. It is why Mayor Pete is so important today. You heard already the value of not making America into a blood sport of democracy, where we try to kill all of our enemies. You know that already if you live in Citrus Heights. You know that in Elk Grove. We gotta live together tomorrow in a democracy. It's not about destroying others. It's about rallying together, learning together, growing together to be a better community, a better state, and a better country. That's what Mayor people are. Thank you, Mayor Cabalden. You are lucky in this part of the country to have one of America's most respected mayors, in my good friend Chris Cabalden. We are joined by so many state and local officials, mayors and vice mayors, council members, school board members, and assembly members who remind us that we would be well served as a country if we could get Washington to look a little more like our best-run cities and towns rather than the other way around. Thank you for reminding us what good leadership looks like. We are so thrilled to be here, so thrilled to have your support as we have been traveling the country asking Americans to focus on a very simple question. What kind of country do we want to be? And the answer to that question points us toward what kind of president do we want to have. Well, I agree, but you're getting a little ahead of me there. We need a president who can lead us out of a national crisis so serious that even now I sometimes fear that the American people are underreacting. And what I'm talking about is even bigger than the crisis that the current president represents. Now, don't get me wrong, that's definitely a crisis, and we cannot have 4 more years of this presidency. I'm also asking America to consider the circumstances that got us here. In other words, a president like the one we've got now should not be able to get within cheating distance of the Oval Office. And the fact that he's there tells us something bigger is going on and we got to fix it. Require that we as a country rise up to meet some of the toughest challenges we've ever faced and that we have been unable for years and years and years to actually meet with the boldness that is required. This is the experience of my generation. It is the experience of my hometown in the industrial Midwest. Watching what happens when you've got empty factories, houses. I didn't even know that was unusual growing up. Seeing the way that politics, good and bad, influences our everyday lives. See, the point of politics is not supposed to be about what's happening among the politicians. It's not about the ups and downs and who got the best zinger off on TV and who sounded good in a committee meeting or who looked good on cable. It is about our everyday lives. That's why we invented politics. That's what it's supposed to be about. That means a whole different approach to how we govern, because we cannot go on the way that we've been. It's time for something completely different. And that's where I come in. I'd love you to be president, but I would vote for my neighbor's dog if I thought that's who could beat Donald Trump. So we've just got to win. And I think a lot of folks are aware of that. We've got to find a way to win. But think about how we win, especially the Democratic Party. Every time we have won, at least in the last 50 or 60 years, it's been with a candidate who called the country to a higher vision of itself, who hadn't been in Washington for too long, and who spoke for a new generation. That's what works for us as Democratic Party. And I, for one, am looking forward to going toe-to-toe with this president in the unfortunate event that he's still alive. Let him try and
that socialist nonsense on me. Let him try to call us the party of Washington, the party of the swamp, when he's speaking to a mayor from the heartland of the country that he only looks at when it's out the window of an airplane or a helicopter. Let him get on a debate stage with an American war veteran and talk about who would make a better commander-in-chief. Important part of how we're going to win is the same as how we're going to govern, and that is according to the values that should unite us, that should knit us together as Americans. And the problem today is those very values, the values that are supposed to bring us together, are being used to divide us, to pit us against one another, and that's what's got to change. You think about values like patriotism and love of country, the way we're supposed to feel when we look at the flag. Honoring the flag requires more than just hugging it from time to time. And you do not honor the flag by using it as a weapon against fellow Americans. Kind of the flag that was on my shoulder when I stepped off the aircraft that took me into Afghanistan was not a Republican flag, it was an American flag, and it was designed to be for all of us. And not only that, it symbolized our duties to speak up, which means when somebody blows the whistle on official misconduct, that is an act of loyalty to the republic for which it stands. If we're really going to honor the idea of love of country, then we honor the idea that the country's made of people. Protecting the country means protecting each other. And that's going to require a lot of us in the 21st century. It's not just military affairs and counterterrorism like I worked on when I was in uniform. Protecting one another means things like putting an end to the threat of white nationalist violence before it takes one more life. Protecting one another in the 21st century means dealing with cybersecurity and election security. You can't fix that with a 17th century technology like putting up a wall. It's more complicated than that. Protecting each other means never allowing the Second Amendment to be twisted into an excuse to do nothing when it comes to gun safety and keeping our schools and our shopping centers safe. Really care about protecting this country, then that means treating climate disruption like the global security challenge of the 21st century, because it is. That's what it means to have love of country and national security in mind. These are values that could be bringing us together. Values like freedom. When I'm talking about freedom, I don't mean just the freedom that comes from cutting a regulation or a tax somewhere. I'm not talking about the freedom of Amazon to not have to pay any federal income taxes at all. I'm talking about a richer, deeper sense of American freedom. Sure, sometimes it does mean getting the government out of the way. For example, it means making sure that the government gets out of the business of dictating to women what their reproductive health care costs. And it means freedom to, not just freedom from. Freedom that only comes about if we build up better opportunities. That's why I believe we need to provide Medicare for all who want it, because you're not free if you don't have health care. Freedom in its richest sense means the freedom to organize for a good day's pay, for a good day's work. And yes, that includes gig work, because if you're doing a gig, you're doing a job, and if you're doing a job, you're a worker, and you ought to be protected as such. These are the values that could bring us together, but they use them to tear us apart. And here's another one, faith. Faith should never be used to divide Americans, because God does not belong to a political party in this country.
Yeah.
Woo! We stand up for a constitution that says that when you are the president, you speak for people of every religion and of no religion in this country equally, no matter what. And I think we can honor that principle and also reach out to those who are guided by faith to point out that we've got a choice. And at a time when budgets are being cut for food aid for children, and children are being ripped out of the arms of their parents at the American border, it is time to point out that no faith requires that you condone, let alone support, what's being done in this White House right now.
Woo!
We can do better. We can do so much better. So here's what you can expect from the kind of presidency that I'm proposing to build. First of all, you can expect to turn on the news, and when you see what's going on in the White House, your blood pressure will go down a little bit instead of up. You can expect a president who understands that personnel is policy. That means appointing an attorney general who is the attorney for the American people, not for the president himself. It means someone in charge of environmental protection who actually believes in climate change and in protecting the environment. And it most certainly means a Secretary of Education who believes in public education. That's the least that we can do at a time like this. And it's one more thing. It's a president who understands the power of that office to cultivate a sense of belonging in this country. Because we have a crisis of belonging. People are being told in a million different ways for a million different reasons that they don't belong. And I believe that's fueling everything from the problems in our politics to the deaths from despair that are on the rise in this country because people are literally self-medicating when they don't know where they fit. And we have a chance to do something different. We have a chance to do something different in this campaign before the first vote is even cast. We can start demonstrating the kind of culture that the White House ought to be promoting in this nation. And you're a big part of that. One of the best moments in this entire campaign came just a few days ago. We were in Iowa, and I was reunited with a teenager named Bridget, who I had met a couple of months earlier. And she had come up to me at an event and said that our campaign had let her know that she could be herself, that she felt like she could go to school, talk about what she believed in, stand up straight, not be ashamed, and I thought I knew exactly what she was about to tell me, because it has moved me to hear so many people let me know that our campaign and me being honest about our marriage has let them know that they're safe in this country. Speaking of which, thanks to everybody who helped welcome Chasten to this area when he was through here. She was there to tell me that, but then she kept explaining herself and said something I didn't see coming. She said, I can be myself when I go to school. I don't have to be ashamed that I have autism. And I thought, now we're really getting somewhere in this. Our country's only going to make it if everybody can contribute and everybody knows that they are valued, and everybody means everybody. That's what the presidency is for. Not the glorification of the president, but the unification of the people around a common sense of purpose and a shared sense of belonging. That's why we invented the presidency. That's where all of you come in. I'm going to need an awful lot of help. So can I look to you to help spread the word with everybody that you know? California is going to be a big part of the story of how I came to be your nominee and your president. Now, in these intimate gatherings, which have started to grow just a little bit bigger than we originally anticipated, we still want to make sure it's a conversation and not just a monologue. So we have gathered questions from among the folks attending, and I hope you will give a warm welcome to our Pete for America leader in California, Cecilia Cabello, who's going to be your voice with some of the questions that we've got for the crowd.
West Sacramento and Sacramento. Excited to be here. All right, question number one. How will you begin the process of unifying our divided nation?
Such a smart question. By the way, if you ask the question, give us a little shout. Maybe I can see it. There you are. All right. Hello. Thanks for coming. So this is vitally important. And here's the thing. Because I believe America's being offered a false choice right now. I believe we're being told that either you got to be bold and provide big answers to big problems and be ambitious, or we got to be unified and bring everybody together. And there are some folks who are saying the only way we can unify everybody is if we water down our differences, paper over our disagreements, and just soften our values. And there are some folks who say the only way to deliver bold answers is to shut out half the country, say it's my way or the highway, send everybody else packing, and crush the opposition. And I view it differently. I believe it is not only possible, it is necessary for us to be both bold and unifying. I think it's the only way forward. And here's the good news. When we keep our politics focused on everyday life, the American people are with us on issue after issue, even issues where our party's been in a defensive crouch lately, like on guns. Now it's clear that the American people agree with us. On gun law, on wages, on immigration, on choice, on issue after issue, the American people are with us. And so what we have to do to begin unifying the country is to engage the American majority that wants to see these things happen. Now, a majority of the American people hasn't always amounted to a majority in the American Congress, which is why we got to fix our democracy too. And the sooner we do that, the less divided our nation will be.
What is your plan to improve public education?
Excellent question. So I married a teacher, as you may know. And that means I got an education about education every day. And one of the things that's very clear to me is that we have got to support the teaching profession much better than we have. Some of the developments in K-12 education and curricular refinement for the 21st century are incredibly sophisticated and complex. Some of the things we got to do are abundantly simple, like we got to pay teachers more. And I say that because so much depends on the profession. And for the first time, I saw a chilling statistic that a majority of teachers now say they would discourage their children from following them into that profession. If that continues, we are in big trouble as a country, because everything depends on the preparation of a new generation. So we've got to support teachers. That means federal funding for teacher pay enhancement grants focused on Title I schools where they can make the biggest difference, because we also need to direct those resources toward the kids who most need it. It also means making sure that we update education to reflect the 21st century, where the biggest thing that's going to change in the new machine age or the automation age, or whatever you want to call it, is not just that people need to be technically savvy. The parts of jobs that aren't going to go away are the parts that require critical thinking. Dealing with surprises, dealing with other people. That's why social and emotional learning are so important. And when we're thinking about education, let's never forget that we're not only educating workers, we are educating citizens and neighbors and parents. That's why things like arts education are a necessity, not a luxury. There's just a few things that we can do.
My youngest boy will be your age in 2050. What will America look like?
Great question. Good. Are you here, by the way? Give us a shout. There you are. So, part of why I'm running is because the need for us to focus on 2050. The 2050s, I'm looking forward to retiring. And I hope that if I run into your youngest, we'll be able to talk. Is he here? Oh, hi. So help me out, my math is a little slow. How old are we now? We're about to be 6. What's his name? Kirk? So here's what we owe him. Okay. Thanks for coming. I want us to be able to say, by the time we see him, that we fixed the problems that are holding us back as a country right now. And we can. 2050 is a long way off, and it's also not a long way off, right? We've got to be a carbon neutral economy by then. So that I can look him in the eye, and hopefully I'll get a chance to, and say, as I'm entering into my retirement, look, we did it. We hit that goal. We got it done so that your opportunities in life are not restricted by what's happening in our climate. I want to be able to look at him and say, you know, things got pretty rough by 2019, but in 2020, we started to do what it took to make sure that your race had no bearing on your health or your wealth or your relationship with law enforcement in this country. That's the idea of our Douglas plan. It's ambitious as the Marshall Plan, but invested right here at home to deal with systemic racism across every area from health to housing to education to criminal justice and voting. To be able to tell them, you won't believe this, but once upon a time, it was the case that people didn't talk about mental health the same as they did physical health. But we started fixing it in 2020. So that he knows that in his time, it is as routine and as easy to access an emotional health checkup or psychological help as it is to go deal with a twisted knee or a these things off, we're going to be proud of what we did, and so by the time he's running for president, when he's my age, continues to be fashionable for people in their late 30s to run for president. He'll be able to deal with stuff we didn't even think of, because we will have sorted it. Because we're supposed to fix those things so he doesn't have to, and then he'll grow up in a better world. That's the world I'm fixing.
What will be your first official act after you are elected?
Oh, great question. There's going to be a big pile in the inbox on day one. A lot of things to do. There's going to be a lot of appointments to make. There's going to be a lot of executive orders to reverse, like the rollbacks of the Clean Water Act. I'm going to see to it that the DOJ is completely independent, but we may have to forward some presidential records to people who are going to need to look into things. But day one is also going to be a day for making sure that our democracy is really a democracy. That's enacting reforms that make it easier to register to vote, make it easier to vote, and things we can do right away, making Election Day a national holiday, automatic voter registration, and beginning work on a 21st Century Voting Rights Act so that gerrymandering and racially motivated voter suppression become impossible. And even on day one, we're also going to start some work on democratic reforms that might take a decade or two to deliver. Because part of that other conversation I want to have with Kirk in 2050 is to say,